I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you. Please go back to sleep. The sun will be up soon. It was just a bad dream. The air is so still. Do you feel it? I can barely breathe. It's so thick and heavy and not moving. Maybe it might bring relief to tell you my dream. We are alike after all. We are, all of us, Greek women lost to our homeland, torn from our families, far from home and further still from rescue. And we all want to go home. I dreamed about my ancestral home for the first time in years, and when I woke, have you ever had a phrase just stuck in your head? After this dream, I can't shake it. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. For the longest time, I didn't know what it meant. My father was the mightiest man I knew, and I had never seen him fall. Shall I tell you who I am? Not just a simple priestess of Artemis in the land of the Taurians, but who I truly am. I am a Greek woman of noble birth. From my dream, I know now that my brother is dead, my only brother. I thought maybe one day he would come here to the temple and take me away, take me home. You all know as well as I do that it is a father's job to protect his daughter, a husband's duty to shield his wife, a brother's position to defend his sister. I have no father, no husband. Now my brother is dead and I have no one. What is a woman if she is not the daughter of her father, the wife of her husband, the sister of her brother? I have no one, and so I am no one. I will never get home. Let me tell you how I came to be in this place. When I was young, an entire lifetime ago, I was given the mightiest husband, Achilles, the legendary warrior, son of Peleus, king of Phthia in Thessaly, who sailed on the Argo and hunted the Caledonian boar, anointed by his mother, the nymph Thetis, hair as red as the flames of battle, eyes as bright as jewels, admiral of the Greek fleet at only 15 years old, commander of 50 ships full of 50 men each, he who led his soldiers in the charge against the city of Mysia and carried them home safely through violent storms, who gathered them again at Aulis in preparation for their launch to Troy, handpicked to be my husband. I still don't know how my father arranged it. There were so many other girls who would have been more suitable wives. But I was told to travel to Aulis in order that I may be given to Achilles as his wife. His wife! When my mother gave me the news, we leapt for joy together. She said, Achilles will not fight. No, that's not how she sounded. What was her voice? How did she speak? It's been so many years since I was torn from Greece, I'm forgetting so much. My mother, my father, my sister only a child, my brother a babe in arms. Now that they are gone, the memories are all I have. I will never go home. I will never see them again. I need to remember. She said, the great Achilles, he will not fight as long as he is unwed. He has a son already, but no wife. Until he does, he will not go to war. The prophets have said that without Achilles we will lose. And so, child, give me your hand. Your father the king has spoken with Achilles, and it is done. Yes, that was my mother. Clytemnestra, queen of Mycenae and Argos, brought up in Sparta, the child of Leda and the king Tyndareus, sister to Helen, loathsome Helen, herself a child of Zeus. She may have been a queen, but she was also a mother to girls whose highest hope was a good, strong marriage, and none were more good or more strong than Achilles. For my part, I was determined to be more than a wife to him. I wanted to be his partner, his equal, a woman as mighty as he was. My sister stayed home, but the baby came with us on the long journey across Greece. That carriage ride, holding my brother on my lap, wrapping him in my bridal veil, that was the last I ever saw him. He would be a man now, probably with children of his own, if he had lived. If I had lived too, for all my homeland knows or cares of me, I'm as dead as the others. It was a strange place, Aulis. The air was a held breath. The sea might as well have been a desert. The waves would not stir, the winds would not blow. They said that Artemis herself had stopped the wind as punishment to my father for killing a sacred deer. But to me, who knew none of that, felt like the gods were waiting for me, holding everyone in place to see my wedding. I didn't see Achilles in the crowd when we arrived, but my father appeared, and I ran to him. I couldn't help myself. I cried out, "Daddy," and leapt into his arms. When I looked at his face, he was crying. There were tears seeping out of his eyes. My father, that mightiest of men. I had never seen him cry, but then he had never had a child married. At least that's what I thought was the reason. It didn't take long for the truth to show itself, what really brought that tear to his eye. When I went back to the tent, the women anointed me. They prepared me for my wedding, dressed me in gowns, laid the garlands round my neck. I heard Achilles outside speaking with my mother, and my heart skipped a beat. I came out to meet my husband for the first time where he stood drenched in the rays of the sun, looking every inch a god himself. His skin was pure gold. His hair was fire set ablaze by Helios, the sun god himself. His position as admiral, his ravage of Mysia. Such legendary deeds from one not even 25 years old. My mother looked at me with pride, and my husband looked at me for the first time with something else, something between fear and pity. I had thought that might was about strength, brute force, but it's not. Might is about power. From the moment my mother told me I was to wed, until the moment I stepped out of the tent, I held in my hand all the power afforded to the bride of Achilles. I was not the daughter of a king. I was the wife of a god. I had more power in me than any queen or priestess. I was mighty. Until he spoke. As the words left his lips, I fell to the ground before him. He took my hand, helped me to my feet, and I knew what was really meant by that phrase, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen." My father, whom I trusted, my father, who was a mighty king, my father, who would never do anything to hurt his children. He had brought me all this way with promises of a wedding, but he had nothing of the sort in mind. My mother wept and wailed and tore her clothes. Achilles was silent. He could not believe that my father, this great king, would do such a thing. You see, I had been dressed in pristine linen, anointed with clean water, bathed in perfumes, and prepared for the altar. But not the bridal altar, the sacrificial one. My father, the king, Agamemnon, hero of all Greece, he lied to me, gave me sweet promises so that he could get me here just long enough to slide a knife into my throat, use my lifeblood to buy passage for his ships. All those ships stalled in the harbor, the lack of wind, the absence of waves. I would be his reversal of fortune. I would be the one to send those men off to war, to send Achilles off to war. All this time, I had dreamed of him as the valiant prince, heroic warrior, savior of our land, full of strength and power and might. But when my father's treachery was revealed, Achilles proved himself not as a warrior, but as a man. I will obey Agamemnon when he proves himself a free thinker, as I am a righteous man, raised by the righteous Chiron, born of the righteous Thetis. Agamemnon will not lay one finger on you. I will not allow him to weave his conspiracies around me. The name of Achilles will not be abused to justify the murder of a child. I make this oath not so that I can marry you. The gods know thousands of girls fight for that position, but to protect the name of the innocent Iphigenia, who could have been my wife if not for the deceit of her father the king. My sword will be drenched in blood before I even leave for Troy, if any man attempts to take you from me. If I fail in this task, let me go to the altar of Artemis alongside you, for I am not fit to live, an oath breaker. My mother had bled for me to bring me into the world. Now my husband would bleed to keep me in it. What more could I do? What could I offer my father to stop his betrayal, his cruelty? I had nothing but words. So before the time came, I went to him myself. I am no poet, no great speaker. I am not Orpheus who could persuade the earth to move through his song. I have nothing to offer you but my tears. Do you not remember when I was born? I was the first to call you daddy, and I was the first whom you called child. Can you now take my life? Watch my blood spill across the altar. This war is nothing of me. What do I have to do with Helen? What business have I with Paris? For the lives of your children, for Electra still at home, for little Orestes too small even to speak, and for Iphigenia, a woman grown. We beg you, do not do this cruelty. Please, Father, Daddy, let me live. I begged, and he left, as coldly as if I had said nothing at all. Below us, I could hear the men shouting and clashing against each other. I could hear Achilles fighting in my name. I was ashamed, embarrassed. I hid behind my mother and ran back to our tent and threw myself on the ground, lest that great warrior should see how low I had fallen. I could hear him outside, telling my mother how the Greeks had risen against him with stones, led by Odysseus, king of Ithaca. It's too much. Have you any idea what it's like to know that thousands of fierce warriors want nothing more than your death? To know that the greatest warrior your country has ever known would willingly lay down his life for you? To know that your own father is setting the altar? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I thought of all the great stories I had heard in my childhood. Stories of Theseus and Jason and Perseus and Heracles, stories of Zeus and Apollo and Ares and Poseidon, of all the great wars and all the great battles and all the great men. The life of one great man is worth more than 1,000 women. I could not let Achilles die for me. Not when all of Greece was at stake. No, I decided then and there, if I am to die, I will not fall, I will leap. I will not be taken, I will go. I said to my mother, listen to me. My death is already written in stone. The army cannot sail without winds, and the winds will not come without a sacrifice. My father says it. The prophet Calchas says it. All of Greece is looking to me. In my blood, I have more power than you will ever know. You who named me Iphigenia, a name that means strong-born. You must see that I am as strong as an entire army. I have the might of Achilles in me. Had you ever thought that your own young daughter would bring glory against Troy? Helen left her homeland, and war came to take her place. When I leave here, only victory will follow me. Isn't my sacrifice worth more than Helen's folly? I can fix her mistake, and in so doing bring honor to my family and my homeland. Can I allow one single life to be the ruin of Greece? How is that just? My unholy father would not accept my words or my tears, so I will offer something else. Let Artemis take my body. Let my blood save Greece. My mother wept. Achilles called me noble. He knelt before me as a husband would, grasped my hands and bowed his head. He called me brave spirit. Brave spirit. Brave spirit, you are everything the gods could give me for a wife, noble and brave. The gods must want my happiness to give you to me, and yet you put all of Greece ahead of your own life. Heed my words. You may change your mind, and if you do, I will be at your side as your champion. He stood before me and removed his armor. The breastplate and gauntlets sparkled in the setting sun, and his helmet shone like fire in the still air as he placed them on the ground. Achilles, the greatest of us all, stood before me again, not as a warrior, but as a man. He took my face in his hand and kissed it. The first and only kiss I've received in my life. I will lay my arms and armor at the altar. When you go to Artemis, if you look at me even just once, my sword will be at your service to defend you. Iphigenia, wife, I will see you at the altar. And then he left. My mother continued to wail, but I forbade her from mourning for me. My sister will not wear black. My brother will not weep. Greece will not mourn for Iphigenia. They will rejoice in me and my great deed. Instead of a burial mound, this altar will be my monument. Instead of children, my name will be passed down through the generations in glory. Pour the wine and light the fires. Let all of Greece know that I am coming to bring fair winds and strong seas. Goodbye, Mother. You raised me in the light of Greece, and so I die, and bid farewell to the sweet light of the sun. Picture it. My long walk to the altar. A young girl, all of 14 years old, dressed for her wedding, flowers in her hair, bravely going to her death. Not a tear on my face, nothing but courage in my heart. When he saw me, my father wept openly. How the mighty have fallen. I wanted to spit in his face and shriek, "You did this to me! How dare you cry when this is your own doing? You could have stopped it!" But I didn't. I greeted him, told him I willingly laid my body before him and before Artemis to fulfill the prophecy and set the ships to sail. I wished him safe travels and told him I hoped he would return from the war. To be a better father to his remaining children. If this was my last moment, I had no intention on wasting it in spectacle. I wanted to be remembered with the strength of a woman, not the tears of a child. They demanded my blood in sacrifice. I would give it, and I would give it bravely. My father was the coward, not me. I could feel the eyes of so many men. My father, Agamemnon, king of Mycenae and Argos. His brother, Menelaus, king of Sparta and husband to Helen, wretched Helen. Odysseus, king of Ithaca. Blind Calchas, who prophesied my death. The kings, the priests, the soldiers, the men, all wanting me to cry out and beg for my life. I would not give them the satisfaction. I almost failed in my resolve. Just once, just for a moment. I didn't see him, but I knew he was there. I could feel his presence beside the altar. Achilles, unarmed. I knew that his weapons were close, that his armor was just out of sight. All it would have taken was a look, a glance, and he would fly to action. The strength it took to walk to the altar was nothing compared to the courage it took to avoid his eyes, peering holes through my skin and setting my heart on fire. But I did not look. Not even when Achilles himself spoke the words of offering above me. I stood at the altar, facing the priest. I lay down as I would have before my husband, and from behind me, I could have sworn I heard him strangle a single sobbing breath when I was raised aloft and lifted to the goddess. I offer my neck silently and with good cheer. Around me, a collective intake of air. I heard it. I felt it. Every man on that hillside drew his breath and held it. The air above the altar was as still and stagnant as the air above the sea. Each man a ship waiting to be launched. The priest raised his hand, turned the knife towards me, and struck. I am proud to say I did not flinch. Everything happened so slowly, like moving through honey. I felt the point of the knife just here. You can still see the mark. One single tiny drop of blood edged itself from my skin. And then the world went wild. A breath escaped my mouth and picked up, spinning itself into a tempest. The winds all around me, the gales were howling. My breath turned over the earth and shot dust and dirt into the air, ran down the mountain and dropped into the sea, filled the sails of all those impatient vessels, and carried the men off to their war. I didn't understand how I could see these things. Behind me I saw the priest and my father and Achilles and all the men. I thought I would see my body laid over the altar, my hair gold in the sunset and draped in flowers, my blood spilling itself into the earth in offering to Artemis. But instead, in my place, a deer. The goddess had intervened, swept me away on the winds that she now released in exchange for the sacrifice. The men grew smaller and faded from view. The land itself, Aulis, became nothing more than a mountainside, and then it too faded away. The wind carried me across the sea, and below I could see the ships on their way to Troy, full of men with fire in their heart and glory on their mind. Soon, the gales quieted, lessened, and shrank away to a light breeze. I felt myself being set down on the coastline of this foreign land. They are barbarians here, these Taurians. I have lived here among them far longer than I ever lived in my father's house, but I am not one of them. I am still, at heart, a Greek woman of noble birth. Despite the horrors I have myself committed, I am still a brave spirit. All this is by way of telling you my dream. Why I woke with that phrase bouncing through my memory, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen." In the dream, I was at home. I was asleep until a great crack split the earth and I ran outside. The house crumbled slowly, piece by piece, first in large sections, then smaller, until all that remained was one pure white column. Then cracks appeared along its length. From the top, it grew blonde hair, and for a moment seemed to take on the figure of a man. I anointed the column and sprinkled it in sacred barley, just as I do for the men brought here to the temple. The mighty column fell to pieces and crumbled, and I woke in tears. Do you understand what I'm telling you? My father is dead. The roof was the first to fall. My mother is dead. The walls turned to dust. My sister is dead. Nothing remained of the house. And my brother, that strong column with blonde hair and a man's form, cracking and splintering as I performed the ritual that no man survives. It is what Artemis demands of me. In the Taurian idea of devotion, she demands sacrifice. I find it hard to believe that the virgin goddess who accepts none at her altar, who has touched blood or death, who once rescued a child from slaughter, I find it hard to believe she would demand what these Taurians offer. Just as I once stood before an altar to Artemis, a knife plunging towards my throat, so too do the men who are shipwrecked here. Greek blood is what feeds the goddess inside the temple. No Greek men survive this land. It is what she demands. What they say she demands. And who am I to argue, lest they subject me to the same fate? I anoint them in perfumed oil, sprinkle the sacred grains, say the words, and send them to the priest. To their death. No man has ever survived my ritual, nor will they ever. My brother is dead. Surely the goddess would allow me time to mourn him. One day without a shipwreck along this barren coast. One afternoon away from the temple. 1 hour for the loss of my mother, who begged her traitorous husband for my life. For my sister, who never knew I would not return to her. 1 minute, even, for the memory of my only brother and the man I never saw him become. 1 moment for the loss of my home and any hope I had of ever returning to it. Will you grant me this request? In the silence is your answer. I will prepare the libations before we begin our duties in the temple. Yellow honey from the bees, red wine of Bacchus, white milk from mountain cows, for my Orestes, whom I carried wrapped in my bridal veil. Receive my libations in this stony earth. Weep for your sister as she weeps for you. For Iphigenia, carried by chariot from Argos to Aulis, born in blood and killed in the same. For my Orestes, the rightful scepter-bearing king of Argos, killed in his homeland there. We are apart in death as we were apart in life. I had hoped for a joyful reunion somehow, that you would find me, rescue me, take me home, and we would live out our days together, make up for the years we had lost. May the gods pity our poor souls. Is there no respite, no relief? What do you want?
High Priestess, we have captured 2 men at the shore. They refuse to tell us who they are or where they come from, but their language is Greek. They were hiding in a cave when one emerged from his hiding place in terror, howling that he was being chased by the Furies, that they were trying to kill him. He drew his sword and fought invisible demons, worked himself to a frenzy. When he saw us, he called out to his friend Pylades, and they drew swords against us, but we overpowered them with stones and rocks, took them to the king, and they would be brought to you next for anointing and sacrifice. This is how you repay Greece. Take them in exchange for your own murder. Make them pay the price for slaughtering you at Aulis 20 years ago.
Ladies, do you hear this? Get up. We have things to do. There was a time when I was kind. With each man I anointed, I shed a tear for him, Greek to Greek. My heart broke with each one. What happened to me? My father raised 1,000 ships to retrieve Helen. 1,000 ships for Helen. 100,000 men for Helen. Not even one for Iphigenia. My heart has turned to stone. While Orestes lived, I was proud to be a Greek woman, proud of my noble birth. Now that he is dead, my birth is nothing. What use is their nobility when there is no one to be noble for? When there is no father, no husband, no brother? I died to save Greece, and for what? Greece is nothing to me now. There is no living soul to hold me to the land where I was born. I have no family, no home, no country. I was once the daughter of a great king, and now, oh, how the mighty have fallen. I am a shell of what I once was, a piece of me going to the altar with each man I helped to sacrifice. I cannot wash my hands of what I have done. Stay here and ready the temple. Sing the songs. I will go speak with the captives. Untie the strangers' hands, remove their bonds. They are not prisoners. They are sacred property belonging to the goddess. Who are you? You must have a mother and father. Who are they? Have you a sister? I make her brotherless today, and for that I do pity her. Tell me where you have come from on your unlucky voyage to this hostile place. Are you brothers or friends? Friends by choice, brothers by marriage. You are married to his sister. How joyous for you both. Which of you is Pylades? And you? If you will not give me your name, at least tell me your city. Argos. Stranger, you are welcome here. Will you permit another question? They say that Troy has been wiped off the earth, that nothing remains. Is it true? And what of Helen? Hated Helen. She owes a debt to me. I see that she seems to affect you as well. She brings darkness across your face. Bear with me. I want to make the most of you both before you die. Calchas the prophet. Dead. Thank the gods. And Odysseus? Too bad. May he never reach home. May he perish on his journey. Tell me, Achilles, the great warrior, does he live? How the mighty have fallen. You say his marriage at Aulis was futile, in that it gave him no wife, brought him no children, left him no widow to mourn. A futile marriage. I say it was a travesty of all things called marriage. One more. I must ask, though it pains me. The general, the one they call blessedly happy, hideous creature. The son of Atreus, King Agamemnon. Answer me, King Agamemnon! Dead. How? Murdered by his wife. Surely not. And what of her? Killed by her son? The gods have truly cursed the house of Atreus. What of his children? I have heard of his eldest, sacrificed in exchange for the vile Helen. One young and unfinished life, traded for the old and undeserving. But the others? The king's son. Does he live? He lives? Oh, a false dream indeed. Listen, stranger. I am the high priestess to Artemis in this temple. I have power in me to save your life. If I were willing to do this, would you carry a message home with you to Argos? I was born there and taken away a lifetime ago, 20 years at least. But there may be people there who know me still and seek news of me. What do you say? Your salvation in return for a small note? I am sorry, but one of you will still go to the goddess. I cannot save two. The city demands a sacrifice. Think on it a moment. I will leave you to consider and will return shortly with my message written. You are my eyes. Keep a close watch. I am, of course, overjoyed to hear that my brother lives, but we don't know these men. I hope they will not give in to betrayal as my father did. Watch them. What a shock my news will be when it is received in Argos. The girl they thought dead, she lives indeed. Pylades, did you hear that? Who is this strange woman? She seems so sad to hear the news. I guess, but there's something else much sadder. For you to be killed while I get to go home. They'll call me a coward. You're more important than I am. I'm nobody. Come on, you take the letter, I'll stay here. Well, that's hardly fair. You have a wife, my sister. Go home and have children with her. You're successful, from a good house. My house is unlucky. Let my name die with me, and my ancestral name live with you and my sister and your children. That makes sense. I hate that it makes sense. All right, fine, but I'm not happy about it. I'll consider you an even better friend in death than you have been in life. Quiet, Pylades. She's coming back. I have the letter. Which of you will take it to Argos? Very well, Pylades. Swear an oath to Artemis, in whose house I hold office, that you will carry this message and deliver it to Argos, to my people there. And in return, I swear to send you safely from this land and protect you from Thoas, its king. But what if you are sea-swept and the letter lost to the waves? I know. I will tell you the contents of the letter, so that if it is lost, you can repeat it to my loved ones. If you arrive safely, it can tell its own tale. Deliver it to Orestes, son of Agamemnon. The girl once slaughtered in Aulis sends word. Iphigenia, your sister, is alive. Alive? Where is she? She is right here. Please don't interrupt me again. Brother, I ask you to rescue me from these barbarians and bring me home. Free me from my task of slaughtering Greek men in sacrifice to the goddess. If you do not, I shall curse your house, Orestes. I've said the name twice so that you are sure to remember it. The rest of the letter tells of how Artemis put a deer in my place at the time of the sacrifice and brought me here to this land of the Taurians. Please, Pylades, give this letter to my brother Orestes. Behold, Orestes, I bring you this letter from your sister. And I thank you for it. But I have no need of writing what an even greater joy lies before me. Sister, let me embrace you with open and disbelieving arms. Stranger, how dare you touch the priestess of Artemis and defile her robes? You are not my brother. I assure you I am he, son of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra, grandson of Tyndareus and Atreus. Let me prove it to you. Our sister Electra told me a secret unknown to all, the ancient spear of great Pelops. You know it, surely, as it was kept hidden in your own bedroom. Oh, most beloved, my brother lives, and his sister lives, and together they live. Happiness greater than words. I thank the gods for raising a light of salvation for my house and bringing my brother to me. How shall I find a way to send you home safely, both of you? For you said that Pylades here is married to your sister, which makes him your brother, which then makes him my brother as well. Let me greet you, husband of my sister Electra. You have done well to keep our brother safe. But brother, you have said that our father died by the hands of his wife, and our mother by the hands of her son. What brought this on? Tell me what led you here to me. Our mother killed our father, swearing it was vengeance for your death, but truly it was not. Her heart had become black and twisted. Our sister bore me away, raised me with Pylades in his father's house, until I could one day return and take her life. Once I had done so, the Furies drove me first to Delphi, then to Athens, where I was put on trial for my deeds. Athena herself cast the deciding vote and freed me, but the Furies continued to pursue until Apollo sent me here to this land of the Taurians to collect the golden statue of his sister Artemis and bring it home to Greece. Tell me, sister, can you help me? We'll need to elude the priests, the temple guards, the king Thoas, and of course, the goddess herself. But yes, brother, I will help you. I will bear you and the statue safely to your ship, even if I lose my own life in the pursuit of saving yours. When a man is lost, he is missed, but a woman doesn't signify. Unless she's Helen. Helen returned home after 1,000 ships launched to rescue her. I will return home with 1 ship and 2 brothers. We must get you both to the sea, with the statue and with me. But how? I know. I will tell Thoas of your crime and say that you both participated. The murder of your mother offends the goddess, and so to cleanse you from your sins, I must purify you in salt water. I'll say that you touched the statue, and so that also must be purified. There is only one problem. The women. Dearest friends, help me. We have been here together so long, so many years torn from our families and dreaming of home. Here, my family, and with them, the chance of returning to my home. Please, will you keep our secret? Will you allow us to escape? Bless you, ladies. Bless your silence and your fortunes. The king is coming. Tie your hands, return to your bonds. Now stand aside. I will do the speaking. Sir, please come no closer. These men that you have sent to me, they are impure. They have murdered their mother, and the goddess will not accept the sacrifice unless they are purified in the salt blue sea. Tell your men and the people of the town to remain indoors, lest they catch the contagious blood pollution of these foreign criminals. I have bound them, lest they try to escape. You can't trust the Greeks. I am disgusted by my homeland. We will go to the sea. I will cleanse the men with purifying rituals. I will cleanse the goddess in the sea as well, and wash away their crimes and offense to her. And we will return once our task is complete. He's gone. Now be careful. There will be guards following every step of the way, but I hope that my speech against my homeland will serve to ease any suspicions they may have about what it is we are doing. We will go to the sea. How is the air so calm? It feels almost like it did that day. Guards, please take the men into the sea and then return to your posts. The goddess would not permit you access to her sacred rites. Brothers, go signal your crew that we are coming aboard. It won't be long before they suspect and become curious what is happening. I will say the prayers and hope they don't turn around to find me here alone. O gods, I entreat you, cleanse these men, wash away their crimes, make them worthy of their noble sacrifice to your sister Artemis. Hear my words. No, they've seen us. Stop! Your priestess commands you to stop. Please do not come any closer. These men are not abducting me. They are my brothers, They are taking me home to Argos. Please stay back. O daughter of Leto, why did you save me from death at Aulis, only to kill me here in this strange place? Send me home safely to Greece, together with my brothers. You love your brother. Surely you must see how I love mine. Listen to my prayers and spare me and the sailors here beside me. Do not let us die in the hands of these barbarians. Brother, look. The king has arrived. He has brought with him archers and horses and soldiers, and the men are gathering ships of their own. We will never escape. They will drown us in the sea, or throw us off a cliff, or set our heads on spikes outside the temple. I implore the gods to save us!
Stop, mortals! Hear the words of Pallas Athena. Thoas, king of the Taurians, call off your men. This was the will of the gods, and is no concern of yours to stop it. Return to your city in peace, and let the captive women in the temple return to their homes. Pylades, do not fear the sea. Even now, Poseidon is calming the waves as a favor to you, and will steer you home in safety. Orestes, listen to my instruction. The statue you have rescued, bring it to Attica and build a temple. Future citizens will worship the goddess there as Artemis, Tauropolis. And Iphigenia, you who have traveled so far and been away from your home for so long, you have devoted 20 years in service to Artemis, and you will continue to serve her in the holy meadows of Graur. You will live there, die there, and be buried there. And when you are gone, they will make offerings to you of the garments left behind by women who die in the battle of childbirth. I shall accompany your journey and guide home the children of Agamemnon. These are the words of the gods. Be at peace and heed them.
That is just one version of my story. Most will tell you that I did, in fact, die there at Aulis. That Artemis never intervened, never put a deer in my place. That my death brought the men to Troy, just as it was intended to do. Others will say that I was carried off to the Black Sea, where I lived for 20 years as the high priestess to Artemis among the Taurians, until my brother arrived and rescued me. No, we rescued each other. But there is a third version of my story, one in which I both lived and died. I was killed there at Aulis in order to send the ships to Troy, and I also lived after that, made immortal by the power of Artemis. You can choose for yourself which version you like. That is the meaning of history, is it not? Looking at all the information and choosing the version you want to believe, the version that suits you. I cannot tell you what happened to Iphigenia, that Greek woman of noble birth, if she died on the altar at Aulis, or survived on the coast of the Black Sea, or lives even now, somewhere among you, a brave spirit. I cannot tell you which is the truth. I can only bless you. May the gods keep you. May you be noble. May you be mighty. And may you never fall.